Congregational Mosque of Amman. Pattern of development from 635 to 2020. Story number 10, it was mid-September 1918 when they decided. Part 3 of 3, the final chapter of the story: the tree, the wall, and the ground. The final chapter of the story: the tree, the wall, and the ground.
As of 1875.
Amman Mosque and evolution. Al-Amari Mosque of the Kabarte from 1888 to 1923. Al-Husseini Mosque from 1924 to 2020. The final chapter of the story: the tree, the wall, and the ground. The ground, year of birth 635. The wall, year of birth before 1400. The tree, year of birth circa 1880. On May 28, 1921, the Transjordan Emirate was established. Headed by Prince Abdullah, who later became King Abdullah, the founder of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. The small mosque and its courtyard continued to serve Amman village until 1923, when Amman pronounced to be the capital of Transjordan. By June 1923, Amman had no proper mosque, and Prince Abdullah was anxious to build one. A mosque that will look like this 40 years later. Two alternative designs were presented.
Alternative design number 1. Alternative design number 2.
Current circumstances and multiple constraints led to the choice of the pre-classical design, a replica of the old Congregational Mosque of Amman rebuilt by the Mamluk Emir Sarghatmush in 1356.
Alternative design number 1.
The second alternative design.
Alternative design number 2.
Is almost a duplicate of Rustam Paşa Mosque prayer hall built in 1563 in Istanbul. The differences are in the courtyard and its porticos, the entrance, and number of minarets.
Rustam Paşa Mosque.
Istanbul Rustam Paşa Mosque is a typical mature Ottoman style of the third generation known as Sinan architecture.
Alternative design number 1.
A courtyard built to the north. Surrounded on three sides by porticos.
A prayer hall. With mihrab and minbar running perpendicular to the south wall.
Almaani, Husseini later, mosque original plan as proposed in 1923. The first alternative follows pre-classical mosque architecture.
Congregational Mosque 1356. Al-Husseini Mosque 1923.
The end of the wall.
Ground. Three. Wall.
Construction of the Congregational Mosque of Amman 1923.
Prayer hall of 1923.
This design maintained the ground through reuse. Kept the tree intact. Replaced the wall.
Alternative design number 1. Almaani, Husseini later. Mosque original plan as proposed in 1923.
If the design was implemented, it would look like this. In 1923, the prince ordered the destruction of the old structure to make way for the new mosque.
New mosque prayer hall.
A double bay prayer hall with mihrab and minbar, broad, short, covered building using 37 transverse beams. In 1924, the prayer hall was ready for congregation, and in 1925, the front portico was constructed. In 1926, the eastern side portico was constructed as well as the northern wall, and at a later time the eastern minaret was erected outside the mosque forum. This minaret depicts Ottoman style. A slender elegance rising from a square base, its main cylindrical shaft is punctuated by two circular balconies carried on the cornice vaulting.
In 1925. July 7, 1927 Amman earthquake.
Due to numerous deterrents such as political disputes, land ownership and limited money and resources, the proposed plan was not executed as it ought to be. This prevented the construction of the west side and its minaret, and because of the limitation in building construction, the built structure had poor execution and flawed results.
Proposed design. Executed design. As for the Qibla wall, proposed design. Executed design. Solid wall. 2 openings.
The end of the tree. The end of the tree.
(1927). 1940.
Amman city centre had begun to assume shape with the construction of El Husseini Mosque in 1923, followed, during the next 25 years, by its extensions. By the end of World War II, the British mandate over Transjordan was abolished in March 22, 1946, and the emirate became the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. On May 25, 1946, the Legislative Council proclaimed King Abdullah a constitutional monarch. Examination of physical development in the center shows that they were related both to immediate ideas of prestige and to the needs there were foreseen to arise from an increase in population. Major urban design projects took place in Amman between 1946 and 1950. The creation of a plaza in front of the mosque was important in the total image of the new capital. It will serve as a focal point. The development of the plaza was closely connected to a well-conceived street modification, the widening and alignment of Prince Talal Street and the rehabilitation of King Faisal I Street Plaza.
1935.
The western minaret was erected adopting same style but higher than the eastern one and has a stone helmet. The wall. Congregational Mosque of Amman in 1965. Congregational Mosque of Amman in 1975. Almaani Mosque original plan as proposed in 1923. Almaani Mosque actual plan as built between 1923 and 2020. The end of the ground.
Space-mass ratio. Space-mass ratio.
The Congregational Mosque of Amman metamorphosis. 100 years from complete void to complete solid. The end of the ground. Space through time 1920.
Please like, subscribe,